Oh no, it's very important that obviously veterinary students are going to have to practice on live animals and such just to get their skills. I mean, I'm not going to pay somebody to be operating on my dog or my cat or my pet without proper experience.
When I was a veterinary surgical student in 2000, the practice in my veterinary school, as with many around the world, was that students would practice their surgical procedures on healthy animals and then kill them at the end of the procedure, although unfortunately not all the animals survive these typically extended surgeries. Now, unsurprisingly, I entered veterinary school because I wanted to become a healer rather than a killer of animals, and when I'm a student myself refused to participate in all of this killing. Our reward for that was the scorn and derision, unfortunately, of many of our esteemed professors and even some of our classmates, who told us with conviction that surgery could be learnt in no other way than by harming animals. And yet we persisted. We sourced homeless cats and dogs from animal shelters and helped to sterilise them to ensure that fewer unwanted puppies and kittens would be born. And in the end we succeeded, gaining about 5 times the surgical experience of our classmates who unfortunately killed animals to obtain their degrees. And I have to say that it did feel wonderful to be preventing unnecessary deaths by helping to prevent cat and dog overpopulation rather than causing unnecessary deaths during our surgical training. I'm very pleased and proud that by 2005 my student colleagues at all the other Australian veterinary schools had successfully graduated from all of those schools without harming animals in their surgical training as well. In every case overcoming the strong scepticism of many of their professors and classmates who once again claimed that surgery could be taught in no other way than by killing animals.
In my mind, I don't think that's proper training for the vet. The vet hasn't gone through proper training.
Traditionally, students have been taught scientific concepts in subjects like physiology, anatomy, biochemistry, pharmacology, and parasitology, partly by conducting harmful experiments on animals and then often killing them at the end of the procedures, or by dissecting animals which have been killed just for the purposes of teaching. However, fortunately, in many veterinary schools, biological science faculties and university courses around the world, humane teaching methods have been introduced in the last couple of decades. There are now hundreds, even thousands of these methods which exist and which are included in the main databases relating to humane teaching methods.
It's important that they've worked on a terminal surgery, because that shows that they are really fully qualified to work on my dog. And I wouldn't be happy if I knew that the vet hadn't done terminal surgery before.
I know it's not ideal, but isn't it essential for a vet to understand a dog or cat's health in order for them to be able to treat my own animal? Because I'd want to ensure that a vet understood every aspect of my dog's health, and they can probably only do that via experimentation on actual animals.
Humane teaching methods include things like high quality video clips or computer simulations or professionally conducted dissections or even animal experiments. They include non-invasive self-experimentation on oneself or one's fellow students. They include the use of body parts or cadavers obtained from animals that have been euthanised for medical reasons and donated for teaching purposes in veterinary teaching hospitals, or that have died naturally or in accidents, and these are called ethically sourced cadavers, and so on. So there are now literally thousands of these humane teaching methods which are listed in humane education databases, and that have been successfully introduced into a variety of faculties and university courses around the world. Where they have been introduced, often the faculty members have actually conducted studies of these students and their learning outcomes to see whether the new method compares favourably with the old method or not. And so there are now over 30 of these educational studies which have been published in the relevant academic journals. And essentially the evidence indicates that around about 10% of these studies overall have demonstrated that the new humane alternative did not produce learning outcomes that were as good as those reliant on traditional harmful animal use. But in around about 90% of cases, the humane alternatives produced learning outcomes which were at least as good, and in fact in around about a third of cases actually better than the traditional methods involving harmful animal use. So that's what the evidence tells us. Well-designed humane teaching methods usually perform at least as well and quite often better than methods that rely upon harmful animal use. And there are good reasons for that. Students are more able to repeat procedures where necessary, more able to customise them to their individual needs. Sometimes things like computer simulations have been made available via the internet so that students can revise at home before examinations and things like that. So the learning experience is much more customisable to the students' individual learning needs, and all the distractions associated with live animal use are eliminated. So students, surveys have reported that students involved in highly invasive animal experiments, which has been common in subjects like physiology, are often so distracted by the fact that their animals are being seriously harmed and by their duty to try to keep their animals alive and successfully anaesthetised that they're not able to actually concentrate on the physiological concepts that they're trying to learn. So it's a very distracting experience. It's a highly stressful experience, and the stress is known to interfere with finer cognitive processes such as those involved in learning and memory. So the learning experience can be substantially hampered by the live animal laboratories.